There was a time when earning more money usually meant working more hours. A second job, overtime, freelancing at night, giving up weekends. That was the equation. More effort, more income. But something unusual is happening. For the first time in decades, millions of people are quietly gaining access to something that used to exist only inside large corporations. Not more money, not more education, not more experience, something far more interesting. A second brain. It doesn't sleep, it doesn't get tired, and every week it becomes a little smarter.
Most people think artificial intelligence is replacing jobs. That may happen in some industries, but they often miss the much bigger story. AI isn't just changing work, it's quietly changing how money is created. And like every major shift in history, the people who understand it early don't necessarily work harder. They simply start playing a different game.
Think about your average workday. You answer emails, search for information, write reports, summarize meetings, research products, organize files, create presentations, compare prices, plan schedules, read contracts, calculate budgets. Individually, none of these tasks seem particularly valuable, but together, they consume hundreds of hours every year. Hours that disappear so gradually, you hardly notice them leaving. Now imagine an invisible conveyor belt. Every repetitive task you complete by hand lands on that belt. One email.
Another spreadsheet, another document, another search. The belt never stops moving. Neither does your time. For years, this was simply the cost of having a career. AI quietly introduced something unexpected. For the first time, people can remove entire sections of that conveyor belt, not by working faster, but by removing the work altogether.
Here's where it becomes financially interesting. Most people think AI is a tool for technology companies, or programmers, or people building startups. But that's thinking too small. The real value of AI isn't writing code. It's reducing the hidden cost of ordinary thinking. Imagine spending 45 minutes writing a professional email. An AI assistant helps produce the first draft in 3. Imagine researching health insurance options for your family. Instead of opening 20 browser tabs, you begin with organized comparisons. Imagine preparing for a salary negotiation. Instead of guessing, you ask AI to analyze industry salaries, likely objections, and negotiation strategies. The technology didn't hand you more money. It gave you better decisions, and better decisions quietly compound.
History shows that every economic revolution creates a new advantage. The Industrial Revolution multiplied physical strength. Computers multiplied calculation. The internet multiplied information. Artificial intelligence is different. It multiplies judgment. Not perfect judgment, but good enough to remove friction from hundreds of everyday decisions. That's a strange kind of wealth, because it doesn't arrive as a paycheck. It arrives as saved time, reduced mistakes, better research, clearer communication, and opportunities you would have overlooked. Most people don't notice this because our brains are wired to value visible rewards. A promotion feels exciting. A bonus feels measurable. Saving 2 hours every day doesn't feel dramatic until you realize those 2 hours become more than 700 hours every year. Nearly 4 months of full-time work without adding a single extra hour to your schedule.
But here's where many people misunderstand AI. They ask, which AI tool makes the most money? It's the wrong question. The better question is, which part of my financial life creates the most friction? Maybe it's budgeting. Maybe it's comparing mortgages. Maybe it's understanding taxes. Maybe it's planning investments. Maybe it's preparing for interviews. Maybe it's building a side business. AI doesn't eliminate the decision. It removes the confusion before the decision. And confusion has always been expensive. People often overpay, delay opportunities, or make poor financial choices. Not because they're careless, but because good information takes too much effort to gather. AI changes that equation.
There's another invisible shift happening. For decades, large companies had advantages ordinary people couldn't access. Teams of researchers, legal departments, marketing specialists, financial analysts. Today, many of those capabilities exist inside software, costing less than a monthly streaming subscription. One person can brainstorm business ideas, analyze competitors, draft contracts, design presentations, learn new skills, or build marketing campaigns with assistance that would have required an entire office just a few years ago. That's not magic, it's leverage. And throughout history, wealth has rarely belonged to the people who worked the hardest. It often belonged to those who gained access to better leverage. Of course, AI isn't perfect. It makes mistakes. Sometimes it's confidently wrong. It shouldn't replace your judgment. It should sharpen it. Think of it less like an autopilot and more like an incredibly fast research assistant. The final decision still belongs to you. Ironically, that may become one of the most valuable skills in the AI era. Not knowing every answer, knowing which answers deserve another question. The invisible conveyor belt we talked about earlier still exists. For millions of people, it's carrying away hours every single day. The difference is that some have quietly started removing boxes from the belt. Not because they're smarter, not because they're luckier, simply because they recognized that technology isn't only about doing new things. Sometimes it's about no longer doing old things the hard way. And perhaps that's the biggest financial lesson AI has to offer. Its greatest value isn't replacing human effort. It's helping people spend more of that effort where it matters most. The invisible conveyor belt is still moving. But now you know you don't have to carry every box yourself. The future won't belong to the people who do everything. It will belong to the people who know what deserves their attention. If you enjoy seeing money from a different perspective, consider subscribing.